If you were walking the streets of Rome in the year 476 AD, the date history books mark as the end, you probably wouldn't have noticed the difference. There was no sudden cinematic apocalypse. The Roman Empire hadn't been a single entity for a century. In 395, it was split into two separate administrations, a wealthy east governed from Constantinople and a struggling west centered in Italy. In the west, the image of power remained intact. The state continued to spend massive fortunes on public entertainment and the bread and circuses designed to keep its citizens compliant. Maintaining that peace required a standing army of roughly 500,000 men. This military machine required a constant, massive flow of gold to ensure the troops were paid on time, because an unpaid Roman army was an army that revolted. While the East was a hub of trade and urban centers, the West was far more rural. It had a smaller tax base to pull from, yet it was responsible for defending the empire's longest and most hostile land borders. The Western Empire's survival depended on a balance between tax collection and military spending. If that balance shifted even slightly, the state lacked the resources to recover. To manage its overstretched borders, the West began outsourcing its defense. They hired entire tribes of non-Roman barbarians to serve as mercenaries, who were often commanded by their own independent generals. Roman diplomacy was rarely honest. Treaties were signed and then promptly ignored, leading these hired armies to revolt against the very empire that had employed them. Then came the Huns. As they pushed violently into Europe, they acted as a catalyst, driving displaced tribes across the frontier into Gaul and Hispania. Unable to stop the influx, the military ceded entire provinces to these groups for peace. Each province handed over was more than just a loss of land. It was a permanent reduction in the empire's ability to collect taxes. By trading territory for short-term security, the West was dismantling the only mechanism it had left to pay for its future defense. The economic collapse finally reached a point of no return in 439, when the Vandals captured the city of Carthage. This chart tracks the flow of grain and gold into the capital. North Africa provided the wheat that fed Rome and a massive portion of the state's liquid wealth. When these lines were severed, the heart of the Western economy stopped. The imperial treasury was left with pennies. Without tax money from Africa, the state could no longer afford to pay its remaining Roman soldiers. This created a self-sustaining cycle of decline. To keep soldiers in the field, the state paid them in land, but giving away more land only further depleted the tax base. As the money vanished, the title of emperor became a hollow formality. Actual power shifted to the mercenary warlords commanding the troops. The Western Empire suffered a systemic collapse. Its short-term solutions to immediate crises gradually dismantled the very infrastructure required to keep the state functioning. In 476, the warlord Odoacer deposed the final boy emperor, Romulus Augustulus. He didn't try to take the throne for himself. He simply sent the imperial regalia to Constantinople and chose to rule as a king. There was no final heroic stand. The imperial system had become so obsolete and broke that the central government was effectively unplugged. Contrast this with the East. Because it retained its urban centers and a reliable tax base, it possessed the structural resilience to survive these same pressures for another 1,000 years. In the West, the unified map shattered into independent Germanic kingdoms, forming the early boundaries of modern Europe. Even without the central state, its cultural shadow remained. These new kings would spend the next millennium emulating the prestige and laws of the empire they replaced. Superpowers rarely fall to a single enemy. They collapse when internal vulnerabilities turn their own survival tactics into a cycle of self-destruction.